I am trying something new with this video and I hope you like it. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Also, if you haven't seen Over the Garden Wall, stop this video, go watch it, then come back. Seriously, it's only 10 episodes, roughly 2.5 hours of watch time, totally worth it. Go now. You back? Cool. And just so you know, I am totally going to say personal, happiness, want, need, and responsibility over and over in this video. So please don't have any kind of game that has to do with those. I'm just saying, don't hurt yourself. And with that, please enjoy. For those of you who have been here since the beginning, it is no surprise that I love anime and cartoons. And a miniseries that has become a favorite of mine is Over the Garden Wall, created by Patrick McHale. When you first watch Over the Garden Wall, you get drawn in by the old-timey music and the fall aesthetics. You get intrigued by the mystery of what exactly the unknown, the place Wirt and Gregory travel through, actually is. But today, I'm here to talk about another topic that is very prevalent in the series, but is rarely spoken of. Or that's what I would like to think after searching YouTube for only a couple of minutes, so let's just roll with it. I would like to discuss the struggle between someone's want for personal happiness and the need to fulfill his or her personal responsibility. First, let's define the two. The want for personal happiness is the yearning to find pleasure and contentment in one's life. Pretty straightforward. Personal responsibility is what one should do, no matter how they feel about it. As the woodsman says,
"Everyone has a torch to burn, and this here is mine. This is my lot in life. This is my burden."
responsibility is your lot in life and your burden. A person has to shift focus from his or her wants to what he or she needs to do, whether that is for others or for his or her well-being. Let's take one example from the series. A teacher is responsible for her students. She has the authority to teach them, but is also accountable to keep them safe during school hours, not to worry about her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend or whatever Jimmy is, though her song was kind of catchy, not gonna lie. Another example, the two tea company owners, Quincy Endicott and Marguerite Gray. Though we only see Endicott's side of the story until the end of the episode Mad Love, we can derive from the dialogue that both company owners have had a want to enlarge their individual homes to show just how much money they've made in their own companies. One could figure that since they are competitors, they wanted to show up one another. Because of this, they started to, supposedly, have hallucinations of ghosts in their homes. Instead of getting help and figuring out what was the cause, whether medical or some type of supernatural, they take it upon themselves to just ignore what they've seen. This leads at least Endicott to think he is insane. They take their want to have a normal millionaire's life above their responsibility to take care of themselves and face their fears. Thankfully for the both of them, they get a little help and they solve their specter problems and even end up in love. Then we have Beatrice. We don't really know why she threw a rock at the Blue Jay. Maybe she just doesn't like the Hunger Games. Who knows? She does seem mad when we first see her though. I'm gonna stretch here a bit and make an educated guess that she probably has done something wrong and got in trouble, or her mother wanted her to do something and she doesn't want to do it. Maybe she's in an arranged marriage. Who knows? It's something that she really, really hates. So she went to be alone, and then the Blue Jay was annoying her, even though it was just minding its own business. But because of her actions, her want to be alone and sulk by herself, her whole family gets turned into bluebirds. This forces Beatrice to take on the burden of changing her family back. She also has the burden of choosing to help the boys or put their lives in danger in order to fulfill her personal responsibility. Thankfully, she chooses right, and even goes out of her way to help save them both in the end. There are more characters in the story we could go over, like the two frog police from episode 7, Their want to catch the boys hinders their need to keep the passengers on board safe, those poor tadpoles. No, the major way to see the struggle between wanting personal happiness versus choosing personal responsibility is what we see in Wirt's character. From the first episode, we see him concerned with wanting to go home and wanting to be safe, a normal want and a normal need for a child. However, he is more concerned with himself and his failure to woo Sarah than his own brother's safety. And he lets his brother roam outside at night, completely alone. If I would have done this with my younger brother, I would probably still be grounded, just saying. Wirt is also seen cowering away from the demon-possessed dog than worried about Greg. Even if he can't do anything, he should still try. Instead, he runs away, leaving Greg with the dog. From this very action, we can see that Wirt is more concerned with himself than protecting Greg. And I know they're only half-brothers, but that's still no reason to do that. In episode 2, when Beatrice is trying to get the boys to go with her, Wirt thinks it is a bad idea. Again, he isn't wrong, but when he makes the decision to go to Pottsfield, he's not thinking of Greg. He's thinking of himself.
How about I bring you to Adelaide of the pasture, the good woman of the woods?
No. Magic talking birds leading us to fairy godmothers and the mysterious... I'm going to Pottsfield. I'm going to Pottsfield.
How Wirt acts? It's highly doubtful that he would have realized Greg had gone with Beatrice if the younger boy decided to do so. At least, not for a very long time. In episode 7, Wirt decides to go to a creepy cabin, against Greg's concerning thoughts. He gains a fancy for Lorna, a girl his age, and wants to free her. Not something bad on its own, however, this leads the boys to almost getting devoured by a demon. If Greg didn't let his frog roam around, he probably wouldn't have gotten the bell. It was really lucky for them to even stop the demon from devouring them. Now, let's be clear. Children shouldn't have to take care of their younger siblings, as if they are the parents. That's the parents' or guardian's job. And besides, everyone has their own responsibility to make good decisions, including Greg. But that's where it gets murky. Greg is a child. Wirt is the older brother. And as we learn later on, he is in high school. He's not just a few years older than Gregory. He's a young adult, inching ever closer toward adulthood. Wirt needs to learn to be responsible, not just for his actions, but for Gregory's as well. Without their parents around, it is up to Wirt to keep his brother safe and get them back home. People with siblings will tell you that babysitting and taking care of your younger brother or sister when your parents aren't at home is a common thing. And even though older siblings don't want to admit it, it is actually a good way to learn how to take care of another person, and a good way to learn how to balance wanting personal happiness and choosing personal responsibility. It would be easy to let your younger brother do anything he wants. He could play with random animals, mess around with his food, or even talk to strangers, whether they are harmless or not. It's easy to say, "I'm only a child. Why should I be in charge? My younger sibling should know better, right?" It is easier to cast the blame on someone else than taking responsibility for your own actions. But as the woodsman says,
You are the elder child. You are responsible for you and your brother's actions.
is it unfair for Wirt? Possibly. But life isn't fair, just as with Beatrice, or the woodsman, or with any of the characters you see in the unknown. Sometimes our personal responsibilities are not fair. In fact, most times they are not fair. But we always have the decision to take them on, or not. Wirt could decide to not take personal responsibility for his brother's well-being. In fact, in most episodes, he doesn't. Because of this, the brothers get into worse situations than they should have. Though I will like to hand it to Wirt that his actions at the schoolhouse and the T mansions lead to better outcomes than if he wasn't there. So he definitely gets points for that. There is hope for him. But like in Pottsfield, on the ferry, in Auntie Whisper's house, and with the beast, his want for personal happiness leads both brothers astray. Near the end of the series, Wirt is devastated by what he has had to face in the unknown, and after the incident with Lorna and Auntie Whispers, he faces the fact that he doesn't have a plan for getting himself and Gregory back home. Wirt was waging on Beatrice to get them home, casting his responsibility onto her. But without her in the picture, he has nothing to go on. He knows he won't get what he wants, to be back home and have a chance to impress Sarah. He knows he is doomed to wander the unknown and be annoyed by Gregory forever. His want for personal happiness has let him down, and he has nothing else to live for. He tells Greg,
Look, do you even know why we got lost in the first place? It's because you were goofing around and getting into trouble like you always do.
Really? It was all my fault?
Yeah, so it's not my job to get us home, okay? I'm done.
Are you saying I should be the leader?
I don't care what you do.
Not only does Wirt give up, he casts the blame of their situation and his personal responsibility onto his younger, naive little brother. And out of selflessness, his brother Gregory trades his life for Wirt's. Greg goes with the beast in order to get them both back home. Unfortunately for Gregory, the beast wants him to become an Edelwood tree in order to feed the lantern that keeps his soul. A young boy like Greg only sees the good in others for the most part. He is naive and doesn't know when someone has ill intent. It is a common attribute shared by nearly all children. Greg is just being a child. He's being himself. And without a guardian like his mother or father or Wirt to help him discern between right and wrong, Gregory will die. Thankfully, Wirt takes the blame for his and Greg's situation and takes responsibility. He chooses to do what is right and casts his want for personal happiness aside. Along with Beatrice, Wirt finds Greg and saves him. With newfound strength, Wirt faces the beast, though it is the scariest thing he has ever had to do. Wirt doesn't know if he will ever get happiness for himself, but he does know that he needs to get his brother back to safety, back home. In the end, it works out for Wirt and nearly all of the characters in the unknown. However, a word of caution, dear viewer. Wirt was lucky enough to fulfill his personal responsibility before it was too late. If Over the Garden Wall was dark as real life can become, he might not have had that chance. So I pose this question to you. If you let your own responsibility go unfulfilled for too long, will you have the same chance? Thank you for watching.